It may seem like a revelation to some folks, but fish have brains, and they can make decisions that determine their behavior. The larger goatfish, seen here, is one of the most prized and sought-after food fishes in Hawaii. The Hawaiian name for this species is kumu. It's also known as the white saddle goatfish. I can't think of a place in the main islands where you could approach a kumu school with large adults, some over 4 pounds, wearing scuba gear, and not have them swim off or pretty much run for their lives. These kumu were videotaped in 30 feet of water at Midway Atoll.
Marine protected area or a marine managed area is simply an area of the ocean that's marked off and managed a little differently from the waters around it. So it could have varying levels of protection, from very little protection to complete protection, like complete no-take. There are even a few MPAs globally that are so protected they're no-go, like no one can enter. There are a few that are research only. But for the most part, a marine protected area is where there's some form of restriction on extraction.
The main Hawaiian islands are becoming crowded. 1 million on Oahu, and the neighbor island populations are increasing as well. More people are using the ocean and taking fish and other resources from it. But for some skeptical ocean users, the question is, why create marine protected areas?
Well, it's to ensure sustainability, to make sure that you have fish for today, but also fish for the future. Especially for the Hawaiians, without Matson containerized shipping, they were completely dependent on the ocean around us for nutrition. With the exception of a few terrestrial mammals and birds, most of their protein needs came from the ocean. And so it's really critical that they manage it correctly and not eat themselves out of house and home this week and have nothing left next year or the year beyond that.
Today, most concerned ocean users agree that our marine resources need protection. It's the how we go about it that divides us. Our Western view of the ocean and her resources is slowly changing. Our hope is that it's not too late.
Until maybe even a generation ago, I think society's view of the ocean was kind of the cornucopian ocean. It's like this bottomless, endless resource that you can take from forever. And just in our generation, I think we've come to realize that that's not the case, that it's very easy actually to overdo it when you're taking things out of the ocean. And so it's not that we shouldn't be consuming seafood, but that for every area that we want to fish, we also have to consider protecting some areas so that we can continue the fisheries, so that we don't deplete things to the point where they cannot recover on their own.
Because of the isolation and hard-to-get-to-itness of our northwestern islands, we have real-world examples of what things were once like in Hawaii. Hopefully, this special place can motivate us to create practical versions for the main Hawaiian islands.
Well, there's some big differences, but also some big similarities between the main inhabited Hawaiian Islands and the northwestern Hawaiian Islands. The similarity is that we're all part of one archipelago. That division between Maine and Northwest is arbitrary. It's a line on the map that politicians draw. Fishes don't respect that line. We're one continuous archipelago. It's been fairly heavily fished, you could even say abused, and the northwestern Hawaiian Islands have been left relatively pristine. They're protected primarily by distance. It's a long ways to go, it's rough water. Very few people have gone up there to fish, and now it's fully protected. And what we see in the northwestern Hawaiian Islands then is what a true Hawaiian coral reef should look like without the impacts of fishing and especially overfishing. And so it kind of shows us probably what our reefs here in the Main 8 used to look like, or possibly what they could look like in the future with better management.
Rules, regulations, and laws about ocean resources are only as good as the actual enforcement of them. We love and depend on the ocean here, so we really can't think of another place other than Hawaii where this is so important.
Well, if you do a dive here in the main Hawaiian Islands, a lot of the big fish you're going to see, have seen divers before, have probably been shot at, so they tend to move away from you. In the northwestern Hawaiian Islands, most of these fishes have never seen a boat or humans, and so you're just the most interesting thing they've seen all week. And so even before you stop the boat, it's not uncommon to have 15 or 20 ulua and sharks circling the boat, just because it's just the coolest thing they've seen all day. And when you jump in the water, it's not uncommon to be surrounded by 30, 40, 50 ulua, and they start big. I mean, they seem to start at about 25 pounds and go up to 100 something. We see a lot of ulua that are over 100 pounds, almost as big as me. A lot of sharks. The ulua are actually fairly aggressive. You know, I always have to tell newbie divers I go up there, you know, don't swim around with your hands out like this. Keep them tucked in because these are big, predatory, meat-eating fishes. And maybe not every trip, but pretty regularly divers get bitten by the ulua. So it's kind of like the man bites dog story. You know, they've got it a little backwards. We're supposed to be chasing them, but they're chasing us. Just because they really are the rulers of the reef. They've never seen people before. They're absolutely fearless. And they'll come right up to you, look you in the eye, and you know, I think they're sizing us up as snacks.